Hey everybody, happy Thursday evening live tutorial stream. This is our final tutorial for 2021. That's pretty crazy. It is the end of our second year of streaming. I mean, the first year of streaming wasn't a full year because we started in March, but yeah, we've now been streaming for a full year plus, which is completely insane to think about. So I want to thank each and every one of you for all of the help that you've given us over these past couple of years, for just being here, for hanging out, for chatting, for being ridiculous on stream. I went ASO and I went and sorted through all the clips, or all the ones that downloaded to my laptop. I think some of them didn't download, but I sorted through all the clips. I sorted them into folders in preparation for making the highlights reel, which is going to be my New Year's present to all of you, is all of the complete, ridiculosity that Heather and I get up to on stream. So, Aso has been helping me out with that because he's amazing. Sorry, this little bottle is it's here and I have to shake it every once in a while. And yeah, so that's going to be something that I'm going to be working on over the next week or two to present to you all as a New Year's gift. But I really just want to thank each and every one of you for being part of the Beading Dream stream. Literally couldn't do it without you, because I would just be sitting here talking to no one on the internet, which is sad and a little bit pathetic. Maybe a lot pathetic. Yes, you do. There's a lot of laughing, there's a lot of dancing. The highlights reel will definitely go up on YouTube, and Facebook and Twitch. I'll probably play it at the start of one of our first sales in the new year. Of course I have to finish making it first, and by finish making it, I need to start making it. But hey, I sorted things. That's the first step, right? That was
an excellent step.
Yes.
It could be a first step, it could be a middle step.
So it's a step. So I did the sorting step. Now I have to do the actual, video design step. Thank you, Sharon. You're so sweet. Because, why not have 17 hats on? I mean, that's a, anyway. That's neither here nor there. Plus,
anyone could pull off 17 hats, it's you.
Well, thank you. I feel like 17 hats would actually wind up being taller than I am, though.
You could be Bartholomew Cubbins.
It's true. But anyway, so last tutorial of 2021 is going to be this right here. And this is a terrible picture. I was really tired and did not take good pictures for this week's tutorials. So this is the actual earring. So this is made... Did you find your notebook?
No.
Uh-oh.
It might actually be a gem.
I think Sam ate it.
I don't think Sam ate it. If anyone did, it was Dee Dee.
So this is a really fun, super easy little polygon shape that you make with bugle beads. So I was inspired by something on the internet for this, which is not surprising because the internet, of course, is a wealth of inspiration, among other things. But the instructions for this one were in Swedish, I think. And so, luckily there were a couple of pictures and I just sort of took it from there. Yeah, I think the problem with having the notes digital is that Heather's already
that's too many screens.
Using two screens. So basically what we need to do is we need to figure out how to make this process more efficient.
Yes.
If anyone has any suggestions.
Because I do type very fast, but...
I will not do this stream with the Swedish chef accent, Pam, because nobody wants to hear that. I do not do accents well. But I will, I don't know what I will do. I'll teach y'all how to make these earrings. Let's talk about tools and supplies. Oh, by the way, if anybody wants to, have one more shot at hanging out with Heather and myself before the end of 2021, don't forget we're doing a New Year's Eve Zoom. I'm pretty sure Heather is about to walk and send an email with all the information for the New Year's Eve Zoom. So that is going to be, hey, you know what, Heather? I should probably I don't think I have that scheduled. Maybe I do. Can you check and see if I actually have that scheduled?
Yeah.
So either way, you're going to get an email soon, either now or at the end of the stream. For New Year's Eve Zoom, we'll be on Zoom tomorrow from 6 to 8 p.m. Central Time to do a little bit of preemptive ringing in of the new year. It was suggested to me by somebody who shall remain nameless, who's not Heather, that we do a midnight Zoom, to which I said, I really hope I'm asleep by then, and I'm pretty sure everyone else will be too. Maybe not Corvus because she's young and spry, but I'm betting a lot of us are going to want to be in bed well before midnight tomorrow night. But you can join us from 6 to 8 p.m. to ring in the new year with a little bit of hilarity, craftiness if you want to. And Heather and I will be Zooming from home, so there is a solid chance that there will be a Ziggy Stardust appearance on the Zoom tomorrow night. Also, I haven't said it yet online, but I think I'm going to now. Ziggy Stardust would be the only cat who would be appearing because my Pika died a couple of days ago. She had a very peaceful passing at the vet, but she is no longer with us. So there will not be a Pika sighting on the New Year's Eve Zoom, but there will probably be a Ziggy Stardust sighting, and possibly, you know, he will do all kinds of crazy things because that's what he does. So earrings, tools and supplies for this evening's. What the heck? Okay, the main component. I left a box of bugle beads somewhere, sitting out. I brought everything over here except the main component of the earrings, which is the bugle beads. Yes, Ziggy and Turbo can become friends. They can become long-distance buddies on Zoom. I like this concept. I am all for it. Okay, so tools.
Look like I would expect a box of bugle beads to look like.
Yes.
Okay.
Check on the dresser where the bugle beads live. Did I just like pull it out and set it on top? Okay, then I have no idea. Just grab me any old color of bugle beads. Oh wow, the last tutorial of 2021 is going so well so far. I'm doing so amazingly.
It's fitting for 2021.
Right, for real.
Sorry, maybe choose another.
No, this is the one I chose. Apparently I just chose it and never actually chose it.
That's fair. I don't know the password to Zoom.
It should be the beads are.
The usual?
Yeah. Okay, so now that I actually have all my supplies, let's talk tools and supplies. For this evening's tutorial, you're gonna need bugle beads. Okay, bugle beads are these long, skinny glass beads. A lot of times they're silver lined, so they're nice and sparkly, and they're not always silver lined, so you can get silver lined and transparent ones. And then this particular flavor of bugle bead happens to be twisted, which is what gives it that cool motion, kind of like, you know, a barber pole. But you can also get them straight. So you're going to need 12 of these per earring. So you're going to need 24 bugle beads, and I am actually going to stupid proof this for myself, and I'm going to make 2 piles of 12 for 6, 7, 8, 9, 12, 3, 6, 9, 12. Okay, so 24 bugle beads, 12 for each earring. Okay, so hopefully this will prevent me from making weirder shapes than I'm intending. You're also going to need beads that are going to hang from your earrings, and I like to use something a little bit bigger on the bottom. So for each earring I've got, well, you don't match at all. 2, 5, 6, 7. I am just really not doing. Okay. Just really not doing well. Okay, well, I should have 8 of these, 8 smaller beads and 2 larger beads. Of course, I only have 7 of the smaller beads because I'm just that awesome. So I'll fix that in a minute. You're going to need head pins equivalent to the number of beads that you have. You're going to need ear wires, and you're going to need 2 soldered rings. Make sure they're soldered, because if you do this with jump rings, it's really, really easy for your earrings to slip off of your jump rings. So you really need soldered rings. As far as tools go, you are going to need your basic wire wrapping tools. That's going to be a round nose pliers, chain nose, or in this case a flat nose pliers, and a wire cutter. You're also going to need a sharp scissors, a size 10 beading needle, and then beading thread of some flavor. So I'm going to use 6-pound fire line for this. So we're going to start by making our little dangling bits, which means that I am going to have to run away for just a second and grab one more of those beads that I was supposed to have 8 of but only had 7 of. So BRB. Okay, I'm back with all beads that I need to hopefully complete this project. So we're going to start by making the little dangling bits that are going to hang off the edge of our earrings, and I'm going to do these with simple loops. You could do these with wire wrapped loops if you wanted to, but the thing about the simple loops is if you forget to do a needle pass, you forget to put one on, anything like that, it's easy to just pop it on there. And since this is a pretty, low stress situation as far as the likelihood of these loops getting pulled open, I don't see any problem with doing simple loops. Now, simple loops are called simple not necessarily because they're easy, but because they're less complicated than wire wrapped loops. In a simple loop, your wire is just literally turned over in a loop and cut off so that it touches the other side of itself, but it's not actually wrapped around or secured in any way. Still a little tricky to accomplish sometimes. So for my head pins, I'm actually using some shorty head pins. And this is hilarious because I had a delightful client give me a box of like 5,000 of these like 15 years ago, and we're still trying to get through them because the amount of times that we need a 1 1/8 inch base metal silver tone head pin is really not that often. So anyway, this was a good excuse to use some of them up. Now, anyone who is a regular on the Beading Dream stream or has tuned in pretty much at all probably knows that I like to work assembly line fashion. It is faster and generally more efficient. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to take all of my beads that I have for my dangles, so not my bugle beads, but the other beads, and I'm going to string them all onto my head pins. And I will say I picked a slightly smaller bead for my project tonight than I did on my sample because I feel like the beads on here are maybe a little bit clunky. So these are about 8mm. The ones I picked tonight are more like 6mm. So I'm going to string all of those onto my head pin. So that should be 8 of my 6mm beads plus 2 of my larger teardrop beads that I'm going to use for the bottom. One more head pin. Okay. Alright, there we go. So now I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to bend all of these head pins over. And what I want to do is I want to bend them right up against the hole in the bead. So what I don't want is I don't want a whole lot of up and down motion on my bead. So now I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to bend all my head pins. Now, do you have to work assembly line like this? Of course you don't. No, you can just do each one start to finish. The benefit to working in this fashion is you're doing all of the same steps right after each other, so you're not having to change your mind focus, you're not having to change your motion, like you're just doing the same thing 10 times, and then you're doing the next thing 10 times, you're doing the next thing 10 times, so it's really about whatever's most comfortable for you. So again, when I do that bend, I want to make sure that there's a minimum of up and down motion with the bead on the head pin. Now, if you're in the place where you're having trouble hanging on to this, like I am a little bit, a couple of things. You can try gripping it like this. We're actually going to press the end of the head pin into the bead with your thumb, and then press the bead down onto your thumb with your index finger and your middle finger. And a lot of times that will work. If that's still not giving you enough kind of grip to get a good bend, just take your chain nose pliers and start the bend. Now you got to be careful when you're doing this. If this bead is delicate, you can crack it, so just be aware. But once that bend is started, it's so much easier to continue to bend it over. Since my fingies are tired, I'm going to use that again on this. And see that the trick here is you can actually press with your thumb to get that bent over. And now we need to trim these wires off. So the idea here, when you're making a simple loop, is you want to have just enough wire to make the loop and no more. So what I usually do for that is I will use my finger, the width of my finger, as just a really easy measurement. Again, those of you who are regulars know that I'm not generally keen on measuring because I'm too lazy. But the width of my index finger, if I go like that, is usually about 3/8 of an inch. Even after all of my Christmas sweets, my finger is still about 3/8 of an inch thick when we do that, right? Remind Allison to schedule the meeting. I mean, if nothing else, I'll schedule it tomorrow right before I'm supposed to start it.
Which is fine. As long as the info's the same, that's all we need. Yes. I don't know anything about Zoom except how to get to it.
Well, yay for that.
That's the most important part.
It's true. So I'm just cutting all of these to that, again, 3/8 of an inch approximately length. All right. And then, switching gears now to my round nose pliers, I'm going to take my round nose pliers and I'm going to grab each wire at the very end. So I don't want any wire coming out of the other side of my pliers. I want that to be flush. I'm going to brace my bead and then I'm just going to roll my wire up over the top. So ideally, what you should come up with is a nice rounded centered loop on top of your bead. So now we do this for all of our beads. Now, if you wind up with this means that you had too little wire, or you were grabbing on your pliers at a place that was too large, and both of those have identical consequences. In my case, it means that I was actually trying to look at the screen and not actually look at what I was doing. Oh, for goodness sakes, what happened? Nobody cares, computer. The computer just decided to give me all the weather report for Chicago.
Oh, well.
Apparently it's 33 degrees and there's haze.
Wow. Well, stop everything.
Right?
Especially if you're in Chicago.
Oh.
Tomorrow?
Oh,
No, not tomorrow.
Not tomorrow, Saturday.
and Sunday.
Yes.
Yeah.
Alright, so I'm just going to turn all of these. Do make sure they're closed. Yes, I need to start bringing my plants in tonight for the 2-day freeze. Because I feel like if I do them all tomorrow morning, I'm not going to make it. Jan's right. In Chicago, it is indeed a hazy shade of winter. Thank you to the Bengals. Also, that's in my head now, Jan. Thanks.
Look around. Leaves are brown. Hang on to your hopes, my friend.
Okay, you keep singing and I'm going to put you on camera.
Uh-oh. Okay, I'm done.
If I keep singing, will you put Heather on camera?
That's not fair.
Maybe.
And I'm gonna run away and drag Carol by her ear over here. Can't drag her by her earring. It comes right off.
Right. Yes. Strategic, that. It's good strategery.
It is.
Alright, so again, I'm just making all of my... I think hazy shade of winter is more appropriate, Jan. But if you're just trying to, like, infect us all with earworms, that's not very nice. Okay, so I've got all of my loops made. Now it's time to grab my fire line and my seed beads. So this is fire line. It is actually fishing line. Literally, it's made by Berkeley. They have a fish on their logo. You can get this at Bass Pro if you're so inclined. But at some point, someone in the bead world, probably somebody who had an husband who fishes, discovered that this is really great for bead weaving because it's very resistant to being cut. And one of the things that used to plague bead weavers when I first started bead weaving was that the nylon threads that we used were constantly being that were constantly being cut by things like bugle beads and crystals. And who doesn't like using sparkly crystals and things in their bead weaving? So the fire line really kind of saved us all from that. So I'm going to take my fire line and I'm just going to cut myself a full wingspan of it. So I'm just going to, cut basically my two arms outspread. And you need a good sharp scissors to cut your fire line. So I like these industrial thread snips. They do a really nice job of cutting the fire line. But seriously, dull scissors, it's just going to smush it and not cut it. Also, your fire line will dull out your scissors over time, so don't invest in a really expensive pair of snips to cut your fire line because they're just going to destroy them. So these guys we sell for $5. You can probably get them on Amazon for even less than that. That's a good thing to use on your fire line. Go ahead and thread your needle. This is a size 10 beading needle, and that'll work just great for all of my bugle beads. Just pull your thread through so that you have a decent length tail. I've got my tail about 14 or 16 inches. You don't want your tail to disappear.
No, I don't.
And get trapped in your construction. So don't make it too long, but also threading your needle is a pain in the butt. And so don't make it too short either, because then it's going to keep coming out of your needle and you're going to have to keep rethreading your needle over and over again. Okay, so I'm going to start with 3 bugle beads to make a triangle. So 1, 2, 3, pull them almost all the way down to the end of your thread, but leave yourself about 6 or 8 inches. And then what we're going to do is we're just going to take our thread through this bead, up, through this bead, down. And what that's going to do is it's going to lock this in that triangle shape. So see, when I pull this through, there's my triangle, and then I'm going to go down. She says, go down. Okay, like so. Now I'm going to make a second triangle that's going to share one side with the triangle I just made. So I'm going to add another bead going up, across, and then I'm going to anchor down here and going up through that other bead. So 2 more beads. Shoot, which pile was I working off of? This one. Okay, so I've got 2 more bugle beads on my needle, and then I'm just going to go down like so through that corner of the triangle, pull. Once again, when you pull them and you snug up your tension, now you should have 2 triangles. And then I'm going to continue up through this bead. And then once again, I'm going to make another triangle that shares one side with the triangle I just made. So now I need to make this side and this side here. So 2 more beads. And then up through that side of the triangle. So you're always going to anchor onto the existing side of the triangle, and then I'm going to go, and what I want is I don't ever want my thread, if I can help it, to be coming straight across one of these joints. So all of these joints, the thread should be bent. So it's kind of like right angle weave, if you're familiar with that at all. So notice on this joint right here, there's not a thread going straight across. So this is where one might think, okay, now it's time to put on another bead, but it's not. You've got to go down through the side of your triangle. And then it's time to put on 2 more beads. And we go down through that side of the triangle. So there is my 4th triangle. We're going to go up and 2 more to make my 5th triangle. So now we go up and then we go down and we put on 1 more bead. Alright, so what you should have now is, oopsie, is not that. Okay, so what I have here is this, and what I want is I want this to be on this side of my construction. So something directionally I screwed up. Which is fine. I am just, in this instance, going to do a wee cheat, as it were. A wee cheat. So what I want to do is I want to be able to go back down through here so I can come out with that other bead. So I'm just going to go under this thread, and I'm just going to do a little half hitch to anchor my fire line. And then I'm going to go back down through that bugle bead and out with this bead here. There's nothing wrong with the wee cheat every now and then. Okay, so now comes the kind of fun alchemical is the word I'm looking for, portion of this process of now we're going to take this and we're going to make it into our polygon shape. So what I'm going to do to make our polygon shape is I'm going to take this one bead that's kind of hanging out here. It's not doing anything. It's not attached to anything at the moment, and I'm going to connect it back to the beginning of this row. Okay, so I'm going to connect it down through this bead here, and what that's going to do when I do that is it's going to pull everything into this cool, it's like a party hat. It's a New Year's Eve party hat of beads. So what you should have here is you should have a square. You should have a triangle on either side that are kind of flapping in the breeze at the moment, and then you should have a little pyramid on the top, which is 4 triangles. They're all joining together. So now we're just going to take our needle, which I did in fact stick in my leg so that I wouldn't lose it, and now we're going to join together these 2 triangles that are kind of flapping in the breeze, as it were. And so all I need to do to join those together is I just need to go up one of the sides of one of the triangles and then down one of the sides of the other triangle. What's going on here? I will say when you're doing something like this, tension is very important. I let my tension get a little loose and I am paying for it now because my shape is being a little wonky. So then you're going to go ahead and go across on part of your square, and then again up and down. Sorry, I realize you all can't see this. I promise once it looks less ugly, I will show it to you again. Right this very second, I'm having some issues. Which I guess I could have predicted, considering. Okay, so what's kind of happening here is because I didn't make my tension tight enough, my shape is just sort of collapsing in on itself a bit. So what I'm doing is I'm just kind of tracing whatever paths I need to trace to sort of reinforce my polygon shape in the construction that I want it to be. So like where this is collapsing in here, I'm just going to follow that through. So the point being that you need even tension on all of the beads in order to get this shape to stay, and I didn't do that. I did not do a good job of that at all on this sample or this demonstration project. So the good news is you can fix most of that by, you know, just kind of going through and reinforcing so that you get your nice little polygon shape. So I've got a little bit more reinforcing to do, and then we're going to add our beads. Add our beads, and we're going to add our soldered ring. So the good thing about this is the bugle beads have a lot of room in them. So even if you didn't quite get the pattern that you wanted and you have to go back and reinforce things like I'm doing, there's a lot of room. in those beads, so you don't need to worry about that. And the other cool thing about this is that it is symmetrical. So it doesn't really have a top and a bottom until you create said top and bottom. So you can kind of mess with it however you want. Alright, so I think mine is sufficiently reinforced now that I can add my soldered ring. That's going to be where my ear wire is going to hang. So I'm going to pick my soldered ring up, and I'm just going to go down, and then I can add my beads around the outside. So I'm going to put one at each joint. So I'm going to pick up a bead, and now I'm going around my little square. Yes, I said I'm going around a square, don't judge me. Next one, through the next side of the square. Next one. So I'm continuing to reinforce as I'm adding the beads just by the act of, adding a bead and progressing to the next position. Okay, so now I'm back to where I started to add my beads. Now I'm going to add my bottom bead. So I'm just going to go down this right here. Grab my bottom bead. Go back up through another leg of another triangle, doesn't really matter which one. Okay, and that is everything's added that I want to be added. So now my goal is to work back to meet my beginning tail, and I feel like I want to do another stitch reinforcing this as well, so I'm just going to go up, through that loop, and down, just because that's your support point. And then I'm just going to take these two pieces of thread, that's my tail, and my thread that's attached to my needle, and I'm just going to tie them in a surgeon's knot, which is going to be over and through twice, pull tight, and then take the other side and over and through twice, this side still attached to the needle, once, twice, pull nice and tight, and then if you want you can put a drop of hypo cement on that, and then trim these guys off. Alright, and there you go. There's earring number 1. Alright, now let's try that again, hopefully a little bit more concisely with earring number 2. So I have the rest of my wingspan of Fireline, and I think this should be probably just enough to do my second earring. So I'm going to start with my bugle beads, making my triangles. So I'm going to start with 3 bugle beads. On my needle, pull them almost all the way down to the end, but not quite. And then we're going to go through. So this first direction, it's almost like we're making a circle. We're going to go back up through this one, and then back down through this one. I cut initially about 5.5 to 6 feet of thread, Lori. Alright, so now 2 more beads, and for triangle number 2 we're going to go down through that shared side, and then up through the side that's going to be the shared side in the next triangle. 2 more beads, and then we're going to go up through the shared side and down through the side that's going to be the shared side in the next triangle, like so. And this is where I screwed up on my last one, so make sure you're pulling all of this really tightly, okay? It's not going to pop into a nice polygon if you don't get your tension right from the get-go. And again, that was where I kind of lost it on that last one and why I had to do all that extra reinforcing. So 2 more beads. And down, up. And a good way to get your tension is to pull it and do what I call a shimmy, which is basically just a little shaking your thread as you pull it. Alright, 2. And we're going to go up. Alright, and then this is where another place I screwed up last time is I don't need to go down through this one. I'm just going to string on my last bead. And then I'm going to bring this around and I'm going to connect this bead here to this bead here. Maybe. Yes. Good Lord. Okay, so yeah, this bead here goes to this bead here. And that makes our little party hat. Just by going like so. Alright, so there's our little party hat. And now we're going to connect these 2 triangles. So again, make sure that you're pulling nice and tight. I'm kind of putting your thumb inside there to hold it is definitely helpful, and then I can just pick any old leg of this triangle to go down through one of my unattached triangles on the bottom, and then find its friend here and go up through one of those legs, and then again pull everything nice and tight. So if you do a better job with your tension like I did on this one, you get a much better polygon much more quickly. So now I'm just going to do a little bit of reinforcing and then add all of my findings and beads. And I'm confident enough in the shape of this particular polygon that I can add my findings and beads as I'm doing my reinforcing. So I'm up at the peak. And I'm going to add my soldered ring. And then I'm going to go down. Okay, now this takes me to my 4 outer points, so that's going to be my green beads. So I'm just going to take 1 green bead and then progress to the next section in my square. 2nd green bead, progress to the next section in my square. Third. And last one, 4th. You actually really go through the bead. Alright, now we need to get down to the bottom to add our bottom bead. So just pick an appropriate pathway, add your bottom bead, which again is my clear crystal, and then I'm going to go back up go. That is your second polygon earring, a little bit more efficient than my first one. Again, I do want to do another reinforcement stitch on my soldered ring, and then once again my goal is to get back to where this original piece of thread is coming out of, so I can tie those together for my finish. So I'm just going to go up and through my loop, and then down, to meet that other thread, and then tie those together in a surgeon's knot. So that means double through, pull tight, and then take the other side, cross over. Hey Amy! Double through, pull tight. Highly recommend putting a drop of hypo cement onto that knot that you just made, and then you can cut it off nice and short. But since you want to cut it off practically flush, what the hypo cement does is it just keeps the threads from pulling back into the knot since you cut them so short. Alright, so there's that one, and then the last thing you're going to do, and this is of course the easiest part of the process, is just add your ear wires. Take your ear wire, grab it, open it up, take your soldered ring, drop it on your ear wire and close it back. And then open, drop your earring on. Make sure when you close it that you do close it all the way. And that, people, is it. That's the last tutorial of 2021, our polygon earrings. What? We did it. We all survived another year in streaming, another year in the pandemic, another year of absolute craziness all around everywhere. So yay, thank you all so much for being here for the polygon earrings. Again, the last Beading Dreams stream tutorial of 2021. We will, for anybody who hasn't gotten enough of Heather and I quite yet, for the year, we will be on... Wait, you can't do that when you're not on camera.
But I'm not on camera.
But, hey Megan, but I want that on the highlights reel. Do it again.
Am I on camera now?
Yes. Thank you. I think Heather deserves the biggest glass of champagne for being a really good sport about a whole lot of things. Also, if somebody could clip that, that'd be amazing. So anyway, if you haven't gotten enough of Heather and myself yet, we will be on Zoom tomorrow night from 6 p.m. to 8 p.m. Central Time. I promise that I will go schedule that meeting right now as soon as I'm off the air with you guys.
Yay!
It's Zoom Crafty Cocktail time, which means it's totally freeform. You can do anything you want or nothing. Unclear myself if I'm going to be working on a project or just sitting on my butt in my pajamas. It's really, at this point, a toss-up between those.
Yeah.
So we'll see what I'm doing tomorrow. We'll see what you guys are doing tomorrow. But hopefully we'll see a lot of you on Zoom tomorrow night. If we don't see you on Zoom, have a wonderful, safe, and happy New Year. And we'll be back to our regular streaming schedule next week. That means we will be back at 6 p.m. on Wednesday with a tutorial and a sale at 7:30. So everyone have a great night. Have a great Friday. And we will see you on Zoom tomorrow night and back on this channel, twitch.tv/beadingdream, next Wednesday at 6 p.m. with something fun and new. Everyone, hugs. Have a safe and happy New Year. Hopefully we'll see you guys tomorrow night. Bye!